because he's not all in on any of this stuff.
Okay.
And he's like, "These are 2-year-olds. Why do I have to?" I mean, their feelings are like all over the place. How do I know? Why does it matter? He's like not buying it. And
Hmm.
his reflection was, okay, I get it. Even though he's 2, he said, what I'm thinking is if I don't learn to connect now and I don't figure out how to notice this stuff and help him through these moments so that we're so we can connect after these big moments, then what's it going to be like when he's a teenager? Because he said, I see my friends who have teenagers and the ruptures will happen. So I need to know, he needs to know he can come to me.
Oh my gosh.
I know. I was like, "Oh, isn't that the best?"
I'm a little like I'm choked up about that
I
because
am too. I know.
yeah, that is
And
so cool.
I know. Isn't it cool?
That is just so deeply profound for
Oh,
him to go from I don't understand the purpose of connecting with a 2-year-old's feelings. They're like not taking them seriously because they're so all over the place. Am I interpreting that right?
yes, yes.
And to see that, wow, what I start doing now is going to build a foundation of my relationship so that it's not just about this 2-year-old now, it's about our whole relationship and about how we're going to be when that child is a teenager. And
Yes.
that is incredible. I mean, just like that is internal wisdom. Hi there. I'm Dr. Heather Klein, a parent educator, program manager, and professional development facilitator. On this channel, we talk about two things primarily. One is how to be an exceptional facilitator of parent learning and development, and the other is how to be a real parent who feels confident navigating challenges through your relationship with your child. So today we are diving into one of my favorite topics, which is the reflective dialogue parent education design, or RDPED, and how it's being used to create impactful learning experiences for parents. So this is the program that I manage. I am thrilled to introduce a special guest, Mary, who recently joined our Reflective Dialogue community and has already been integrating Reflective Dialogue into her parent education classes with amazing results and into her life as well, which you'll hear. We'll talk about her journey, the impact she's seen through a number of examples. We actually start there because she was so excited when we jumped on that we went right to her most recent experience of using reflective dialogue and the impact that it had, particularly on one father. And then we kind of then get into some of the more formal, interview process questions that I ask her, where she shares why she's so passionate about using reflective dialogue in her work and how it supports her and the families that she works with. So, this conversation is for anyone curious about how to enrich their work with parents and encourage the kind of lively, reflective discussions that truly make a difference. So, it's for you if you're a home visitor, an early interventionist, a parent educator, a coach, anyone who works with parents may be particularly interested in this. Enjoy.
My name is Mary Schrader. I currently work in Hastings as a parent educator. It's my second year teaching. Last year was my first year, and I worked at South Washington. I continue to teach in South Washington on Tuesday nights, one of my favorite classes. Um, this is my new career. I have only been doing this, well, I graduated in 22 from the U of M. So it's something I've always wanted to do my whole life, ever since my three children and I were in ECFE. And this is my time. This is when I finally get to do it. So I'm excited to be here. I've done many different careers, most recently worked at Search Institute in youth development and adolescence. My role there was managing the trainers and facilitators and engaging with clients to help them utilize research tools and professional learning. So that's who I am.
Love that, Mary. Um, and so you mentioned the U. Will you share, how you first discovered the reflective dialogue, parent education design, and what drew you to it initially?
Yes, I don't remember the name of the class, but it was through my classes. And I remember just being fascinated. And I was right away asking, well, where can I get the videos and how can I find more and how can I use it? And um, then I was spending time getting my feet underneath me and, creating my lesson plans and getting through my first year, year and a half of teaching. And then I really wanted to start my second year using it. So that's why I sought you out, because I wanted to go back, find it, learn how to do it, learn how to do it well.
Yeah. And now you have been using it. I remember you reached out to me this summer. Um, so you just have been a part of it for what, a little under 6 months now?
Hmm.
Mm. And have just been using it for a few months, but you were sharing that you must have already facilitated about 15 reflective dialogue lessons between all of your classes.
Maybe even more. I'd have to count, but yes, I've been using them in all of my classes. And it's nice and efficient too, because I can really work on one lesson plan and it fits with my ones and twos, my birth to five, it fits with everybody.
I would love to hear, um, I know we were talking about, you were sharing an example, a really profound example, just earlier about the impact of reflective dialogue and parent learning. But what else have you noticed, either one example that stands out to you, or just more general examples as you're thinking of all of your classes, in terms of the impact or the benefit that you've seen with parents experiencing reflective dialogue?
Hmm. Well, they love it. They know how to do it. I think they feel very empowered, because when I tell them today we're going to do reflective dialogue, or if I say next week we're going to do reflective dialogue, I have a full house. They get excited about it. Um, I almost wonder if there's a little competition in the room sometimes, because they're like, I can't write fast enough. They all have something to say. I also was nervous about doing the insight mapping, and now
Mhm.
it's probably one of my favorite things to look forward to.
Yeah.
Uh, again, this whole thing is, don't overthink it, trust the process. And I did, and it works. And I even said that to myself the other night when I was teaching this, when there was a quiet moment. I was like, embrace that quiet moment, Mary, and trust the process. It's going to be okay. They need a minute to think. And the other part, I think I told you my potato chip story,
Yeah.
on a personal level, from that Inside Out video where Billy, how do we say his name?
No, I said it earlier
Bing
tonight.
bong? The
Um,
imaginary friend.
yeah. And
When sadness sits next to and acknowledges his feelings, and um, And I had a moment where my granddaughter was having a very big meltdown about not being able to eat as many potato chips as she wanted, and she was inconsolable. So I just got next to her, used that deep breathing that we talk about in parent ed, and then just told her, "Ah, what do you asked her, what do you love about potato chips?" And she like instantly stopped and said, "Well, they're crunchy, they're good, and it helped. Like she was so shocked that I wasn't yelling at her that eat your dinner, you don't get potato chips. Instead, I was taking that moment to like, let's look at these, but why you feel this way and what can we do about it? And it was I was practicing and
Mhm.
it was so profound. It really amazed me that
I would love to chat about how how reflective dialogue integrates with the rest of your teaching, because I know that you didn't sort of learn about reflective dialogue and then drop everything else that you have been doing. You didn't feel like you needed to choose one or the other. So I would love to hear your perspective on what it's like to bring reflective dialogue into your teaching and how you balance different approaches to teaching.
I think I'm still working on that. Um, I think I still haven't decided if I want to introduce a topic such as rupture and repair or connection disconnection. Like I used Dr. Becky to look at one of her videos on that first, and then we did the Inside Out video. Or if I want to show the Inside Out video, see what their insights are, and then look at some other research. And I think both work.
Mhm.
I think it's more about um, I have my scope and sequence. I'm following the scope and sequence the districts have too, a little bit. And
Mhm.
I'm also listening to the parents. What are their needs? What do they want to hear? It all kind of ties together.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think I think if I did all reflective dialogue, it would work, but I think that it makes it kind of special when I don't do it all the time. And then when I do do it, they're excited and they're present and they know what their job is.
Yeah.
And they like to look really good at it. I can already tell that I do not really need to do highly contrasting videos anymore. They
Okay.
are pulling enough out. So now the challenge is on me keeping up with their learning and being ready to take them to the next level.
Yeah. Love that. And has anyone brought in and shared an example from their personal life that you feel resonates? Kind of like you have the example of the potato chip moment with your granddaughter. Has anyone shared an example that you think kind of builds from their experience with reflective dialogue or watching any of the videos?
Yes, we did the raccoon
Hmm.
videos and this was cool. So prior to the raccoon videos, we did Circle of Security, we did connection within Circle of Security, and we did or being with,
Hmm.
and we did shark music. And
Hmm.
so shark music really fit with what we were talking about with the Far from the Tree raccoons. And they made that connection right away. And they even said, that mom's got shark music, you know? And then one of the dads came back, and when we were just sharing informally, he said, I was that mama raccoon at the airport when we were getting ready to travel. And I just had like, she could get lost and there's strangers around and all these things are going through my head. And then I remembered and I stopped and I took a few deep breaths, he said. And I tried to be that dad that I wanted to be and not lose it and yell. I know, it's powerful stuff. I have amazing dads and moms.
That's so cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, I can't say enough about how powerful it is with the power of the visual, how much learning is wrapped up in that little moment that the dad, you've covered a lot in your class that informs the insight and the change that happened with that dad. And he didn't have to go through and think, what am I supposed to say? What did this other parent say? What did Mary show me? What did the handout say? All of that can be remembered in our body through the video and the process of processing it with those hourglass questions. So he could be at the airport in a very stressed out moment and have a flash of a connection back to that and just know that he's not being who he wants to be and know what he wants to do differently and then do it
Yeah, it's exactly what happened. Yeah, it's wonderful.
and to have an awareness of that.
And to share it with all of us in class. Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff.
Really cool
And
stuff.
and I haven't had these kind of moments when I was not using reflective dialogue. I would get some feedback, especially from the dads. I had feedback about last year because I saved all of the things that they said. I would have them write it on a little piece of paper at the end of class, and then I documented those things in a spreadsheet. But I had a lot of like remembering to call myself before I approach my child. So, calm, connect, and then, acknowledge your child's feelings. So we worked on that a lot, but I have had much more powerful statements from the parents, and especially because there's half the parents are dads in my Tuesday evening class. That makes me think this is why I do this work. This makes it worth it. This is the best.
Mm.
And you go home and I have to tell my husband, some of it. It's just heartwarming.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's
It's really
beautiful.
good.
And just it sounds like the connections not only pull on the concepts and the research-based information that you're sharing and that the videos certainly support, but it's that personal um like they're making sense of it in their own very personal relevant way instead as opposed to saying the steps that I'm supposed to take are as a parent are to calm and then connect, sort of using the intellectual, this is what I'm taught to do. I can remember these short steps and this is what I'm supposed to do and I buy into it and this is what I learned. That's very different from these stories that you're sharing about how they're essentially doing that, but they're living it and they're fully integrating it into their real life, into like the nitty-gritty stressful moment of their life.
Yes. Yeah.
Wonderful. Is there anything else you would want to say to a parent educator, a coach, anyone who works with parents who might be wondering, should I look into this reflective dialogue thing?
Um, yeah, they should. I uh it makes my job easier because the parents are doing the work and I'm facilitating, and that's what I'm supposed to be doing is I'm a teacher, I'm a facilitator, but I can't tell them what to think. I can't tell them what to feel. So guiding them using this process really helps them be in charge of their own learning. And I think for myself, that's how I take things to heart and change is if I feel 100% confident and I've kind of gotten there on my own. Um, I think you've made it really easy with putting together what you've put together to access the videos, to scroll through and look for something that fits. You can use your own creativity, or if you're feeling a little overwhelmed and you need something quick, you can grab one of the lessons with the lesson plan already there. For a new person like me, that was really helpful. And that way I could just really focus on how am I going to do this and what is this going to look like? And my lesson plan was right there for me. And also you can tweak it if you need to. If you want to make a difference for parents and really help them create change in how they approach things as a parent, this is a good way to do it.
Mm, thank you, Mary. It has been so wonderful to work with you. Every conversation just lights me up and inspires
Oh,
me. Um,
me too.
right. What did you think? I would love to know. Add your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what stood out to you, what questions you have. And then, of course, if you found this meaningful to your work at all, I would really appreciate it if you would like the video. If you want more videos like this or want to learn more about this kind of work, subscribe to the channel. Um, and I would love to hear from you. And then, of course, if you want to learn more about reflective dialogue, parent education design, or joining the reflective dialogue community, I've included a link in the description below so you can learn more about that. Thanks for watching. I'll see you.